Welcome to the Effortless English Show with the world's #1 English teacher, AJ Hoge, where AJ's more than 40 million students worldwide finally learn English once and for all, without the boring textbooks, classrooms, and grammar drills. Here's AJ with a quick piece to help you learn to speak fluent English effortlessly.
Hi, I'm AJ Hoge, the author of Effortless English. Learn to speak English like a native. And the father of the effortless English system that trains you to speak English fluently, speak English confidently, speak English powerfully, speak English fluently and effortlessly because you think in English. When you train with my VIP program, commit to my VIP program at effortlessenglishclub.com. effortlessenglishclub.com. Join, commit, don't quit. My VIP program. Go to effortlessenglishclub.com. Welcome. Started our new book this weekend, How to Stop Worrying and Start Living. Very nice title and a good topic. It's a common thing, these emotions, I guess we could call them, but these problems is very, very common in the modern world now, everywhere in the world. Worry, anxiety, frustration, stress. You hear these words used a lot. You see a lot of people who have these. Depression, there's another one, right? So many people who have some combination of these. Basically, they're emotional problems, right? Some people call it stress. Some call it anxiety, which is it's kind of a worry. Some just worry. Some call it maybe frustration. But it's not just one. Sometimes it's just a lot, like constantly, all the time feeling some kind of stress, some kind of tension, right? And maybe it feels a little, it makes you feel tired and you're not motivated. And so maybe you call it depression. Or maybe you just feel more tight and tense all the time and stressed out, we say. In English, stressed out means very stressed. So maybe you call it anxiety instead, or just stress. But really, the cause of all these things, it's really quite the same thing, right? They're all different versions of fear and worry, right? And as I said, worry is also just a kind of fear about the future. So it is a serious issue. The third technique that we learned from the book this weekend was about, focusing on and really thinking about the serious problems, especially the health problems that worry can cause. Worry, stress, depression, anxiety, they all cause some serious health problems if they continue for too long. So this is a serious issue. It's serious. I was thinking about, this thing, let's call it worry, frustration, depression, anxiety. And I'd say there are kind of two major categories, I would say, for this. One kind I would call maybe like a crisis. We could say crisis. Crisis is like an emergency. Okay, so this is something that's very strong and very serious, right? So this is something maybe, in fact, very, very serious and very, very difficult happening in your life. That happens sometimes, right? That can happen. You might have some very, very, very serious problems in your life or someone you love. So it's understandable why you might feel sad or stressed or really worried at those times. So, and indeed, some of that is natural. But then the other kind of worry or stress or frustration and this is the kind I think that really causes the damage, is it's really not a crisis. It's actually just lots and lots and lots of smaller things. Just constantly worried, constantly stressed about so many things, constantly feeling, for example, too busy. I've got too many things to do. I've got to do this. I've got to do this. I've got to do this. And you're always just worried about lots and lots and lots of things. It's really it's a quantity. It's the amount, right? Each thing is not an emergency, right? There's not like one super serious thing, but just lots and lots and lots and lots of smaller things. But they add up. They add up, especially when you are worried or stressed about them every day. So, students, for example, constantly worrying about the next test, the next quiz, the next paper they have to write, the grades for this quarter, and then the next quarter, or the next semester, and the next semester. And then eventually graduating, and then getting a job, and right? And they've got several classes and worrying about all the different ones. So all that stuff adds up, and it can actually create quite a lot of stress. And of course, working people do this too. Parents do this. Lots of people do it. It's easy to do. And in our modern world, people also add other people's worries. They're not even your worries. It's not even about your life, right? For example, we talked about this watching TV. If you watch the news, or if you read about the news all the time, well, then you can get stressed and worried about things that are happening 1,000 miles away in another country, far, far, far away from you, and still you can let yourself get stressed and worried about, oh no, there's a war happening in this place far from me, and oh no, there's a flood or an earthquake happened somewhere else, and oh no, some people are hungry in another part of the world, and oh no, the environment's in a bad condition somewhere else, and right? So then you're adding all these worries that are not even affecting you directly, or not even indirectly. So you've got all these little things happening in your own life, and then because you're always looking at things on your phone and reading things, now you're adding all this extra unnecessary stress, completely unnecessary stress, that's not even connected to your life, really. And so you can see why so many people suffer from anxiety, depression, worry. I want to talk about this one. So a crisis is different. Sometimes a crisis, you can't avoid it. And sometimes with those serious crises, more than one, sometimes, of course, you're just going to have a hard time for a while. That happens. You just got to get through it. But these little things you can avoid, and I'm going to talk about a technique today. It's something I have talked about before, but it's very, very helpful for dealing with these kind of smaller things, but you have lots of them, right? And you're just letting yourself get so either worried or depressed or stressed about all these little things, tons and tons and tons of them. How can you do it? Well, what's the central problem? If we get to the root of these problems, these smaller problems, well, there is one root, one thing they all have in common usually, and that is you. In other words, you're worrying about you, right? Or to put it a different way, to say it differently, it's a me mentality, a me mindset, right? You're focusing on me, all of my little problems, all of my worries, all of these things bothering me. It's very, we say egocentric. You probably know the word egocentric just means in the center. It means you're putting yourself, your ego, in the center of the world, of everything. And it's very natural. When you do this, see what happens is when we become too egocentric, too focused on just ourselves, just me, our own little lives, And, our lives are small compared to, the whole world, compared to the whole, galaxy, the whole cosmos, all of creation. Compared to all those things, our lives are very, very tiny and short. And so when we just focus on ourselves too much, we actually become less happy. It's fine. Of course, we have to, like Stephen Covey said in the last book, we do need to develop our independence. We do need to improve ourselves. We need to, focus on what we can control. And that is, of course, ourselves and our own lives. Yes, of course. But on the other hand, when we only focus on ourselves, when we focus on ourselves too much, we lose perspective. That means we lose our understanding of size, and suddenly our little problems start to feel really big. Like if you're just always focusing on your problems all the time, then suddenly it becomes easy. And we all do this. I've done this. I still do it sometimes, where you just get much too upset about very small things. So what's the cure for this? The cure for this is to change your focus to contribution. Instead of focusing all the time on your goals and what you want, I need, my problems, my happiness. Instead, spend more time focusing on contribution, giving instead of getting. So instead you start focusing on others. How can I contribute to other people? To contribute means to add to give, to add to help. And what's interesting is this will actually make you happier. This will make you happy. So it's almost selfish to help other people. It's almost selfish to focus on contribution. In a way, it is selfish because by focusing on contribution, you also will make yourself happier. And that is a kind of a healthy, selfish thing to do. When you focus too much on yourself and just me, only me, you actually will become less happy. Eventually, you'll become less happy, not more happy. But when you start to focus more on us, we, contribute, add, help, give, contribute, that contribution mindset, you will get happier. And the reason is that many of these little small problems and worries will just disappear. You'll stop thinking about them. You'll realize they're not important. Instead, you're focusing on helping other people. And when you focus on helping other people, you often will see that, oh, wow, other people have problems too. And often other people have bigger problems than I do. And suddenly your little problems and your little frustrations and your little worries and some of the smaller things you focus on will suddenly just not seem very important. You won't even need to think about them so much. And that will bring you more happiness. So you help yourself when you help other people. It's kind of nice. Now to do this, first of all, there needs to be a balance. Again, with Stephen Covey taught in the last book we did, that you do have to develop yourself, especially your character. Remember, he focused on character. You have to develop your character, your virtue. Yes. And then as you do that, you also then focus on sharing that with other people by contributing, right? Contributing to others. I did a whole podcast about this, the first step, but let me just review very quickly. The first step to have a contribution mindset is you have to decide who or whom, which specific real people, which specific people are you going to help? Which specific people are you going to contribute to in some way? Now, this is very important because sometimes when people think about contribution, they choose some abstract, they just choose an idea. I'm going to contribute to freedom. I'm going to contribute to equality or something like that. But that's just a way to avoid real contribution. See, contributing to an idea, it's easy then to just be lazy. It's easy to not really contribute very much. It doesn't challenge you at all. Ideas are not, they're just in our minds. And some ideas like equality are a complete lie. So you're not helping anybody when you do that. No, contribution means people, or it could even be animals. It could be living beings. So choose, specific people. As I recommended before, your family is a good place to start. And if you're young, that might mean your parents. It could mean your brothers and sisters. It could be uncles, aunts, cousins. If you're older, maybe, your children, your husband, your wife, etc. But see, those are real people. Some people, especially nowadays, they don't like this idea. I got to focus on contributing to my family, especially young people sometimes. Young people often grow up very spoiled now. And they're so focused on getting, right? They complain all the time about their parents, and they complain because their parents aren't perfect. They complain that, the parents nag them or push them or something. And very few young people grow up, when they're 18 or 19 or 20 or 21 and become adults and realize, well, hey, I can also contribute to my parents. I don't just need to take. I'm not a baby anymore. How can I help my parents? How can I appreciate my parents more? How can I help them to be happier? What can I do for them? For 18 years or more, they've been helping you. Well, time to help them. Same thing with our brothers and sisters. Often, we grow up with brothers and sisters, and sometimes we fight with our brothers and sisters when we're young, and we're a little jealous of them. We're always fighting for attention from our parents. And there's we call it rivalry, right? We call sibling rivalry. Sibling means brother or sister, and rivalry means kind of a competition. It's very common. And again, that's, it's normal for kids. But again, once you become an adult, once you're 18 years old, it's time to grow up and stop acting like that and change your mindset and think, well, how can I contribute to my brother or brothers? How can I contribute to my sister or sisters? What can I do to help them in some small way or large way? What can I do to make them feel a little happier? How can I just be a little bit nicer to them? And indeed, we can do this with grandparents, cousins, aunts, uncles, right, etc. Nieces, nephews. So your family is a great opportunity to practice contribution. They're real people, right? Not just some idea. And indeed, that's why it's a challenge. The great thing about family is that often family members can be quite different from each other. You don't choose your family, right? You choose your friends. So it's sometimes easy to choose friends that all think basically the same. They all have the same politics. They all have the same basic ideas about life. Well, on one hand, that's easy. But on the other hand, it's also a little lazy because it means you don't have to deal with any challenges. You don't have to deal with so many differences. That's why sometimes friendships can seem easier. But it's also why most friendships are shallow. That's why it's very, very, very rare to have friendships that last your whole life, or for 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, those deep, deep, deep friendships. If you're lucky, you'll have one or two of those in your life, maybe 3. But most of your friends, you will find as you get older, And if you're already older, you know, most of them come and go very easily. You know, maybe you have a friend for 4 or 5 years when you're in school, and then they leave and move away, and you just lose contact with them, and you kind of lose the connection. And then you make another friend, and they're around for a while, and then things change, and then they go, right? Because that's the problem with so many friendships, is because they are based on having the same interests, the same ideas, etc. Because of that, if one or both people change, then the friendship often breaks up. And that's why family is typically stronger, because family's family. It doesn't matter if you change. You do change, right? So, I like to think of my own sister, and we were very different when we were 5 years old, when I was 5. She was little. And then when I was a teenager, and 20s and 30s and 40s and now 50. So both of us have changed a lot, but she's still my sister. My parents are still my parents. My cousins are still my cousins. It doesn't matter. We have different political ideas. We have all kinds of different ideas, different religions, many, many, many different things, but they're still family. And so that's why it's deeper. And that's why it really is more challenging on one hand, which means maybe a little more difficult, but also the rewards, the depth, the love, the caring, the what you learn, the virtues you develop dealing with your family, contributing to your family, are more powerful, typically, usually. So I recommend family is a great place to start having a contribution mindset. And then beyond that, your people, meaning like your community, or maybe your extended family. So commit to helping people, specific people whose names you know, right? You can picture them, you can see their faces, you know them, they're real people. The next question then, when you're trying to change your mindset a little more towards contribution, the next question is to ask, well, how will you contribute? Or how can you contribute? What do you have to give? Now, this is, part of knowing yourself. Another topic we had just recently, we talked about knowing yourself. Sometimes it's hard to answer this question, especially when you're younger. Well, what do I have? Like if you're young and you got no money, you have no skills really, you're confused about your life, you don't know what you're doing. So sometimes it can be hard to think, well, what do I have to offer? Because as a kid, you're used to, as a child and even a teenager, you're kind of used to taking, right? You're used to all the older people in your life, your parents, maybe uncles and aunts and other people, giving to you all the time, helping you, giving, contributing to you, and it's easy to get a little selfish and spoiled. So you suddenly become an adult, you're 18 years old now, and you start thinking, well, how can I help? What can I do to help them? What can I do to help other people in general? What do I have to offer? Well, you just got to think about it. Know yourself and think about it, because you still have something to offer. Everybody has something to offer. And during your life, you'll learn new things and you'll be able to contribute in more and more and more ways. But even when you're young. So maybe when you're young, you don't have much experience. You don't have much knowledge. You don't have much wisdom. You don't have much skill. You don't have much money. Oh no, what do you have? Well, typically, if you're young, you have enthusiasm, you have energy, you may have more time because you're not working as much yet. You have the ability to work hard. You can encourage other people. You can be, positive and fun. And you can bring that kind of, joy and happiness and energy to other people in your life. That's a great contribution. People will very much appreciate that. And especially older people love to be around younger people who are really fun and enthusiastic and positive. That's a great contribution. That's something you can definitely do when you're younger. And of course, when you're older, you get more knowledge. You have more life experience. Hopefully you have a little more money. You have more wisdom. You have more skill. So with all of these things, you can help others. You can teach and coach and train and mentor younger people, and then people even around who are your same age you can help and contribute to. So we all have things we can offer. Everybody can do it. Everybody can. That's the great thing about not being equal. We're not equal. Well, that's fantastic. That means we need each other. We need each other, and we can help each other. If we were all equal, meaning we're all the same, well, you don't need me, I don't need you, because we're exactly the same. I have nothing to give you, you have nothing to give me. Equality's hell. Equality means no need for relationships, no need for love. Nothing to give, nothing to receive. But thank God we're not equal. And that means each of us indeed has our own special things we can give. And indeed, we all have things that we can receive and be thankful for from the other people in our lives. And that creates a lot of appreciation, which helps our relationships be stronger. So you definitely have something to contribute. Every single person does. You just have to think about it. And finally, step 3, to be, again, practical, think about, in a very specific way, like a plan, a contribution plan. When are you going to contribute? How often are you going to contribute? So you know the people, you know how or what you will contribute. Well, then, write it down. Write it down and plan. Let's say you've got an aunt who's a little lonely. You kind of think, oh, maybe she's a little lonely. So you're just going to visit her. Well, write down, I'm going to visit her once a week, or I'll visit her once a month, or I'll call her each, weekend and talk with her for an hour. Or whatever, right? Or I'll just stop by and bring her some food. There are so many things you could do. But write it down and actually, schedule it. Tony Robbins talks about this, when the last step of making a plan or making a goal is always to schedule it and take action immediately. Don't just think about it. So that's it means committing, right? I'm using this word a lot recently. That's you commit to your contribution plan. Simple as that. That's all you got to do. You can just choose one person in your life. It's a great way to start. Choose one person in your life and start thinking about how you can contribute to them. What could you do to help them? It might be somebody who is having a difficult time in their life, or it might just be someone you care about. They're not having a difficult time, but it doesn't matter. You just care about them, and you're just going to try to contribute to them in a little way. Just make them a little happier, help them out a little bit, show your appreciation to them a little more, whatever it is. But the great thing, this whole process, you'll notice that as you think about this, you start thinking about the people you can help. Then you think about how can you help them? What can you give? Then you think about, when and how often can you help them and give and contribute. You'll notice just thinking about it, your stress will get less. Your worry will get less because now you're focusing on other people. You're focused on giving, and helping. You're not focusing on your problems. This is such a positive thing to focus on. It's a positive way to use your mind. So I guess this is one of my own little techniques. We could add it to the book. I don't know. Maybe it's in the book. I haven't read the whole book. I read this book a long time ago, the Dale Carnegie book we're doing. Long time ago. So I honestly don't remember most of the techniques anymore. I'm only, I'm just reading each section week by week as we do it for our book club. So I maybe this is one of the techniques. I can't remember. But if not, I recommend it. This is a good one to try also. Add it to the list of things to change more. Not completely. You don't have to, you don't have to become a saint and only think of others and never yourself. That's not what I'm saying. But just focus more on contribution, more on helping others, more on giving. And be specific and make it a regular thing, something you do regularly. This is, by the way, a really good technique to use when you are in a crisis. This also works when you are in a crisis, when you're really, really in pain and struggling or dealing with a serious worry, a very serious problem. At that at those times in your life, of course, you're feeling terrible. One way to feel a little better is to do this, to take a break from all your worries and fears and problems. Take a break and help someone else. I know, even when you feel like you need help, you feel like I'm the one who needs help, I need support, but just try it. Even when you're feeling really, really bad, say, you know what could I do? Nice. How could I help someone else right now? Even though I feel terrible, how could I help someone else? Is there someone else who also is having a hard time that I could help? You'll find what's interesting is that this also might help to lessen your sadness or your stress a bit. It won't make it disappear, but it can help. So it's also good advice even when you are in a crisis. At the least, it gives you a little bit of a break from that worry. Okay, well, that's it for today. Join my VIP program at effortlessenglishclub.com. VIP program, effortlessenglishclub.com. You don't have to worry when you join my VIP program because everything's done for you. Just follow the program. That's all you need to do. Just download the lessons. Every 15 days, you get new lessons, audios. Download them. Put them on your phone or your computer or both. Listen every day. Repeat the same ones for 15 days. So you get a lot of repetition. That's part of the program. Part of the training is very important for fluency, for speaking powerfully, for thinking in English. That repetition is important. Deep learning, I call it. Deep learning. After 15 days, you get a new lesson. You go to the website, you download the new lessons. Listen to them every day, 15 days. What happens? Of course, after 15 days, another new lesson. That's it. You just keep going. You just commit. Don't quit. You don't have to think about anything. You don't have to make any big plans. Every 15 days, download your lessons. Listen to them each day. That's all. The reason they're audios, mostly audio-based, is because I want you to be walking around while you're learning English. I want you to put on your phone, put on your headphones, your iPod, whatever. Go for a walk as you listen to your VIP lessons. Or even just stand up in your room, in your house. Walk around a little bit. Keep your body moving. Keep that energy up. Also with audios, you can listen to them while you drive a car. You can listen to them while you're walking to work or school or on the bus. And you're learning with your ears. It's one of the rules of Effortless English for learning to speak fluently. To learn with your ears mostly. Now, with my VIP program, you do get text. You do get a text transcript of the lessons. Why? That just helps you understand. Sometimes you're listening to a lesson and you don't understand, a word, or you don't understand a sentence. You're like, what is that? What's he saying? Then you can go to the text and you can find the sentence and you say, yeah, and you see what I said. Or you can find that word and use a dictionary if you need to. So the text is just for like a quick check, especially when you get the lessons, the first day or the first couple days. Maybe the text helps you understand. But then after a couple days, you probably will understand most of it. Then you're just getting the deep learning, so you can forget the text and just focus on listening, learning with your ears. It's a very powerful program. It's very simple. Just download and listen, download and listen, download and listen. That's it. I did all the work, all the planning for you. You just download and listen. Commit, don't quit. You will succeed with my VIP program. Join now, commit now, and don't quit at effortlessenglishclub.com. effortlessenglishclub.com. Go now to effortlessenglishclub.com.